Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Bassini. I am from The Baking Coach, and today we are going to make homemade Shamrock Pretzels. So in this bowl I've got some warm water, about 105 degrees, nothing too heavy or hot for that matter. So today's recipe, we're really going to go over the method in making Shamrock Pretzels. So you would need your recipe. If you don't have a recipe, put me on pause and reach out to bakingcoach.com and we'll send you the recipe to get you going and making the project. Now, so we're going to basically focus on how to make the project, and we are going to start with the water. We're going to add some sugar into the bowl and then some yeast. I have them pre-measured here. Then I'm going to take a craft stick and gently stir it. And now I'm going to switch, because here I have my yeast. It's a little bit foamy in with the sugar, and that's set for about 5 minutes. So if you're at that point and it needs to sit for 5 minutes, put me on pause and come back in 5 minutes. Okay, so the next thing we're going to add to the yeast and the sugar mixture, so we're going to add in our flour. Now the flour, you're adding in most of it now and then another quarter once this is mixed in. Just follow the recipe for the actual ingredients. So here I have my flour to make the dough and salt that's in the flour. I use my craft stick just to get it started, or you could use a spoon, and I'm just gonna mix it in. Squeezing it in. Now the dough is still going to be a bit sticky, and if it's real sticky and sticking to your hands, pour into it an additional 1/4 cup of flour. Have that on standby, and just add to it as you need it. So if you don't really need a lot of it, don't add it all in, but the dough should be able, you should be able to squeeze the dough. I'll show you how you know the dough's got enough flour. You should be able to squeeze the dough and then pull your hand away. And if the dough does not stick, mine's sticking a little bit, to your hand, that's how you know you have enough flour. It's just about done. And now I'm just going to coat my dough with the flour. Heavily coated in the flour. And now it's going to rise. So I added 1/4 cup more. I'm going to set it to the side and now bring over a dough that's been sitting for at least a half hour, if not more than, actually about 45 minutes for sure. Might even be a little longer than that. So here is the dough after it rises. Here is what the dough looks like before it rises. So once again, at this point, you would put me on pause for 45 minutes and then come back to the video. So welcome back, everyone. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little extra flour and put it on top of my dough. The dough is so much lighter and spongier, but the minute you touch it, it will deflate. It's supposed to happen that way. Okay. And there you go. And now you've got some beautiful pretzel dough. This dough will make 4 nice size Shamrock Pretzels. So what I want to do to make sure that my pretzels are the same in size, I'm going to cut my dough in half and then cut it again in half, so I have 4 pieces of dough. Okay. Put the other 3 back in the bowl. And now I'm going to stretch and pull my dough to make a long rope. If you wanted to, the way we finish off our pretzels is by making some green cinnamon sugar, But if you wanted to instead, you could always make your dough green too. And when you would add the green food dye is when you get the water ready with the yeast. I would add in the food dye then. So you would work with green water. Okay, so I'm stretching and pulling this dough, and I want the dough to be pretty long because I have to form 3 individual hearts with the dough. And stretching, give it a little twist. It's also a great, whoops, don't do that. I'll save this for a tail, I guess. I didn't know my own strength. Okay. Now I'm gonna take this rope and I'll divide the rope into 3 equal pieces. Where's my craft stick? 1 here and 1 here. The dough is gonna constantly wanna stretch back. So that's normal, so don't be upset. So now with the dough, I'm going to form a little heart. You wanna get 3 hearts. So the dough is going to want to stretch back. So do your very best to form 3 hearts. That's 1. And if it moves, you just have to show it who's boss, like I'm doing. Go. Okay. Probably gonna move again. I've got a little heart there. Maybe stretch it a little bit more. Okay, that's the point of my heart. And then I've got to pinch the center real tight. Oops, try not to let it connect. That's my second heart. And then you just join the hearts together. 1, 2. And then here is the third one. And like I said, if your hearts move, just show it who's boss and move it again. Now I'm gonna get my circle there, make my 2 points, squeeze, and then you wanna squeeze the opposite side to make the top of the heart. And then you join each 3 together, just like that. To create a shamrock. Then you'll join all 3 together, just like that. I'm gonna move the camera down so you can kind of see what this looks like. If you can't see from there, but I'm sure you can. Okay, and then that little piece that broke off, that could be the stem of your shamrock. Okay, I'm gonna bring the camera down just so you can kind of get a good look of what the shamrock looks like. Okay, now let's just let the shamrock sit here for 1 second and you can continue to push it together. Okay, I've got a bowl here with 2 cups of warm water. And in order for the shamrock to turn brown, you need to add baking soda into the water. Did you know that baking soda is a browning agent? And that's what we use it for, to make that dark, crisp crust on a pretzel. So without dipping the pretzel into baking soda, it won't get brown. So you will need it. Okay, so now I'm going to generously spray my parchment paper with some cooking spray. And I'm going to very carefully, and you may need to reposition this, dunk my shamrock into the water and then lift it, oops, back on the baking tray. And then when it gets on the baking tray, you have to reposition it slightly to get it back into that shamrock shape. I'm gonna bring it over. There we go. There we go. So now it's back into my shamrock shape on my tray. I'm gonna bake this in the oven as recommended on the recipe, but in the meanwhile, I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do next with the cinnamon sugar. So we have some cinnamon sugar here. You're only gonna need a small amount, and we are gonna give this a little green tint. So once our pretzels come out of the oven, they'll bake and it'll be golden brown. I'm gonna add in a little bit of green into our cinnamon sugar to give it a green tint. And then after we brush our pretzels with some, I think I'm gonna have to use my fingers for this, so if you're doing this at home, the best thing to do is to put this in a little sandwich bag. That works perfect. And I'm going to just mix in the green into my cinnamon sugar, and then I'll sprinkle that on top of my pretzels. Oh, it looks so pretty, like an emerald green. And now I've made some green cinnamon sugar to garnish my pretzels with. So the pretzels will come out of the oven, brush on there some butter, and then remove them from the hot tray onto a plate, and then sprinkle on the green cinnamon sugar, and then enjoy. So my name is Lisa Bassini. I'm the baking coach. To find out more about the baking coach or about today's Shamrock Pretzels, reach out to us at bakingcoach.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye now.